National Stadium in Santiago for the match between Argentina and Venezuela in this Group A match in the Copa América. The first appearance of Argentina in the competition, and a long-awaited one as well. They've had the opportunity to see all their opponents in action so far, but now the stage is theirs. One of the most successful, of course, of all teams in world football, not just on the South American continent. World Cup finalists a year ago in Italy, and in fact a year ago to the very day they were playing West Germany in Rome's Olympic Stadium. Reminder of the geographical location of the venue for this match between the team with the best record of any in Copa America history and the team with the very worst record, Venezuela. So on paper it ought to be an overwhelming victory for Argentina. And indeed, the last time these teams met in this competition, Argentina won by 11 goals to nil. We've already seen some spectacular action and lots of goals tonight, and there's every promise that this game will provide much the same. There's a look at the Argentine side. Just 3 players really remaining from the usual World Cup team from Italia 90. Goycochea, of course, in goal. Ruggeri at centre-half, he's now captain of the side, incidentally, and Canija, the very distinctive blonde-haired striker who scored a couple of outstanding goals in Italia 90, I remember, against Brazil and Italy in particular. Venezuela have already played once, lost 2-0 against Chile on Saturday in Santiago, and they, in fact, have picked exactly the same team. There was a doubt about James, the number 8, the captain, in midfield with a knee injury, but he's come through and takes his place in an unchanged lineup. Venezuela know that they come here as the biggest underdogs possibly of all in the competition. And as you can see, when the teams have met previously, Argentina overwhelmingly, and look at those goals, 21-4 and 2 against, have exerted their absolute superiority. And indeed, in the whole history of the competition, Venezuela with just 1 win, and that was against Bolivia, the worst playing record of any country. So as Argentina in the blue and white stripes get the match underway, attacking from right to left against the Venezuela team in a change strip tonight of red and white. An opportunity to introduce my co-commentator tonight, the former Northern Ireland World Cup captain, Martin O'Neill. Martin, a lot of interest, I think, in Argentina's first appearance in the competition.
Very much so, Alan, because despite getting to the final of the World Cup last year in Italy, I thought they were a very, very ordinary side. They've changed it around a little bit, well, quite a lot, in fact, and I think it'll be interesting to all Argentinian supporters to see exactly what sort of side they're coming up with.
Well, certainly Argentina must have been the most unpopular team in Italy a year ago. Their tactics, their general behaviour, but they've changed a lot under the management of Alfio Basile, who replaced Bilardo after the World Cup in Italy. And he says that his own personal philosophy is for a more attacking style of play. He's picked mainly home-based players, not called upon many of those overseas, and there are many of those. Over 300 Argentine-born players currently earning their money outside the country. But obviously those left behind still of a very high standard, and Argentina on form will be one of the favourites to progress all the way to the final of this competition.
I think the interesting aspect early on will be to see how Argentina play as a Maradona-less Argentina, if you know what I mean. They've been so used to expecting great things from him. Suddenly this world-class footballer, I mean one of the great players of all time, has departed the scene, somewhat temporarily, and we'll be able to see what sort of impetus or what sort of feeling that perhaps the rest of the Argentinian players get him, but actually without him playing.
Well, the first corner of the game, surprisingly, to Venezuela. Craviotto's clearance causing the ball to go behind, and Argentina still on the defensive here. That looked like a foul, and indeed that's the decision. That is Tuta, the number 9, with that rather reckless challenge. And so Venezuela, rather surprisingly, win an early corner and an early free kick. No suggestion that they're going to sit back and allow Argentina to try and break them down, as we saw last night when Ecuador played Colombia. Venezuela taking the opportunity to get as many men forward as they can, but not a very good free kick. And cleared by Simeone for Argentina. The pitch here is wet and obviously quite slippery on top. They've had a lot of rain in Santiago, not quite as much, judging by the pictures, as they had in Concepcion for that game. The pitch in much better condition, much greener. That's Carvalho, one of the players who made his debut for Venezuela in the match against Chile. Ruggeri across to cover, the most experienced player on the field internationally. Nice little flick forward by Maldonado, but Argentina dealt with it quite comfortably. It'd be silly to talk of pressure on Argentina tonight, because on paper they are so much superior to their opponents, but there is the pressure of knowing that anything less than a convincing win would be a major shock, really, in South American football. It would be a major story if Argentina didn't win very comfortably. And in fact, history supports that fact. Every time they've met in this competition, Venezuela, they've won by at least 5 goals.
Should be in for a hatful tonight, then.
Yeah, in theory, we certainly should. Here's Ruggeri. Leaving it again to Astrada. A lot of newcomers, of course, in this Argentine side. They've really started again from the basis of the Italian World Cup squad. Fernandez in midfield, linking with Carvalho, but it breaks clear to Latorre, the new exciting talent in this Argentine side. And the free kick given perilously close to the edge of the penalty area. The tackle by Echanauzi on Latorre, and another stride and he would have been inside that penalty area. Echanauzi protesting his innocence. He was one of 4 or 5, depending on which statistic you believe, of the Venezuela players showed a yellow card in the opening match for them against Chile. So an early problem here for Fraciana in the Venezuela goal. Simeone, number 10, over the ball, and Latorre, surprisingly, with his back to the Venezuela goal. So a little trick here, perhaps. And it was Simeone in the end who got there, and the goalkeeper came out and dealt with that with a bit of difficulty, and really took a crack from Ruggeri as he climbed for that high ball. But a bit optimistic, perhaps, Martin, in coming for that one.
I'm not terribly sure. I think eventually he had to. It was hung up long enough in the air, Alan, and I think there was. I think he was a wee bit indecisive. No, it's inside the 6-yard box, and I think that that he had to come for the ball.
Perhaps we're not used to seeing that kind of bravery from goalkeepers, and certainly he'll be ruining his bravery at this moment. He came down heavily as well, and it'll be real concern, obviously, for Venezuela if he's got a problem. Vazquez, inexperienced goalkeeper, really, at international level. It's only his 3rd cap tonight, in fact. We'll have a look again in a moment at exactly how he caught that injury. The free kick was played up high for Ruggeri, who's a very dangerous player in the air. Scored a good goal against the Soviet Union when the teams met in England at Old Trafford earlier in the summer. Watch for Ruggeri here, moving in on the goalkeeper, the number 6. Well, he was perfectly entitled to go for the ball. I think it was really just a case of the goalkeeper falling awkwardly.
I think that's absolutely right. Absolutely right. I think the ball was closed down a wee bit tighter than Argentina would have expected, and therefore it was more of a loop ball finally that came into the penalty box. But the Argentinian forward was perfectly entitled to go for it.
Free kick anyway is the outcome. Marcano playing it upfield, intercepted by Vazquez for Argentina, and now Astrada in midfield. Always quite happy to go back in order to go forward again. Ruggeri, the captain. Easily intercepted. And equally so by Argentina. Basualdo, the number 4. to is Vazquez. A nice little flick on by Batistuta. But Echenauzi with the interception. The ball has gone over the line anyway. Throw to Venezuela. You can see the rain on the track surrounding the pitch. And the players having some problems keeping their footing early on. Not this little man, though. He looked appealingly towards the referee, but no free kick this time. And good skill by Rivas, the 19-year-old on the left, and then blatant foul by Simeone. And that was a useful little ball. Martínez allowing the ball to run on, and the shot didn't really trouble Goycochea.
Argentina have started reasonably well, reasonably comfortable on the ball. Wildly important for them to get an early breakthrough, because I think there'll be a few nerves out there. They're expected to win a game. I know what that sort of pressure creates in itself. And I don't think they'll be thinking in terms of 4 or 5. I think they would want to try eventually just to win the game, win it as comfortably as possible, and look a decent side. They've got a nice little bit of passing movement going so far. Gives them a wee bit of confidence without actually having, as I say, broken through. I think Venezuela, on the other hand, will be looking to make a few sharp breaks themselves.
But it's Latorre with a little header on, and then a complete miss kick by Batistuta. And he was in a pretty good position as well. They probably blame the pitch for that, and he worked hard to win it back, but the referee has said that that's a free kick. Bit of a harsh decision. Not really allowing for the conditions, perhaps, the referee himself then. 0-0 here. Coming up to 10 minutes gone. Argentina on the attack again. Latorre with a layoff to Simeone. It was a late challenge on him, but this time the referee has waved play on. But easy for Basualdo. He couldn't go back to his goalkeeper. The route was cut off. But he had the confidence to turn and play it neatly forward. And then Latorre was being held. And they get on with it quickly. Cross was a useful one, and the header by Franco, who's got a very good goal-scoring record just wide. Scored the equaliser in Argentina's 2-2 draw with England at Wembley back in May. That was a decent chance, though, Martin.
It was. Very decent chance indeed.
Caniggia was also quite well placed as Franco headed it beyond him and beyond the post. Vazquez. That'll be Venezuela's throw. They've had a couple of very heavy defeats in the Copa America history, Venezuela. The 11-0 I mentioned against Argentina. A couple of 7-0 thrashings by Chile. And indeed, they've conceded an average of 4 goals per game. If they can keep that average down tonight, they'll think they've done well. And Latorre is clearly the target for 1 or 2 dubious tackles. They certainly respect him. Another free kick then. Batistuta walking back as though he's intending to hit this one, despite the fact that it's an awfully long way out. The 22-year-old Boca Juniors player, number 9. Well, that's the distance. It would be some shot even to get on target, never mind go in from here. Well, the wall did its job. Well, there's one gentleman in the wall who perhaps wished he hadn't done his job either. That must have been very painful. Maldonado still down injured as Argentina get on with it. And the referee will allow treatment now for Carlos Maldonado. Ever happened to you in a game, that, Martin?
A couple of times, yeah. Very, very painful.
At least he got it in the back. I suppose there's several worse parts of the anatomy to collect a free kick. We won't go into detail, but I'll say at least he got it in the back. And that's how he's the key man, Maldonado, in terms of scoring goals. And as we've been saying, they haven't got many of those, Venezuela. He got 4 in 4 matches in the last Copa América. I wouldn't want him to leave the field. Ouch. He's okay. Basualdo with the throw. Back into Vazquez. Nice control by Canija. Offside. Looked a bit dubious. There seemed to be a defender in the middle. But I guess it's a question tonight, Martin, for Argentina of just settling down, and I'm sure if and when they get their first goal, you'll see them really starting to play.
Exactly. Even at this early stage, you just feel that if they could get the first breakthrough, that they would win very, very, very comfortably. I feel that Venezuela have got men, they've got plenty of bodies behind the ball. Nobody's actually picking up anyone, and Canigia's caused a few problems. Obviously, Latorre is trying to impose himself in the game. But I feel Venezuela themselves have got to, I feel, just advance a wee bit further. Try and defend a wee bit further from their own goal. Gives themselves a wee bit of a chance anyway. Because, as I say, they're getting men behind the ball. They're defending from the penalty box, basically almost on top of the goalkeeper, and not actually doing anything there.
Well, they could have a problem here, as Craviotto tried to control it but couldn't, and then well won back by Canija. Well, that's great control by Canija. That could have been a penalty. He looks at the referee, and I don't think the referee's too interested. Well, I think we've seen a lot of matches where a penalty would have resulted from that challenge. What do you think?
I thought on first look, I thought it was a penalty. I thought it was. A few referees would have given it. He's perhaps maybe played a wee bit now, a wee bit for it, but I've seen them giving it.
Jimenez, the player who made the tackle, and having looked at it again in slow motion, I'm pretty sure Argentina deserved a penalty then, but they didn't get it, and they're on the attack again. And here's Canija again, another sliding tackle, more safely outside the box this time. Still 0-0 here, quarter of an hour gone. And Argentina's first corner. Latorre will take it. Craviotto on the far post, and he was the target. And the goalkeeper just about got both hands to that in the end. Ruggeri always comes forward for corners and free kicks. Very difficult to stop.
It's an excellent header. Goalkeeper did well at the second attempt to grab it. It was one of those shots where he's half-dived with the ball before it's actually reached him. He's done exceptionally well to hold on to it because of slippery conditions, and I think after the knock that he took in the early first 5-6 minutes of the game, it'd be nice just to get his hands in the ball properly, as he's doing now.
Played quite well against Chile, Fraciana, in the opening match, although conceding 2 goals. Didn't really blame him for either of them. Made a few good saves. Argentina's throw. Argentina have won this competition 12 times, but rather surprisingly, they haven't actually won since 1959. When you think what they've done in the World Cup in the years in between, finalists, big winners in 1978 and 86, and finalists again, of course, in 1990. It's really surprising that they haven't made the final for, what, 32 years.
In that 11-0 thrashing of Venezuela way back in, I think, 1975, you look at some of the scores there, see what a side they had. Luque scored, Kempes, Los Ardiles actually got one as well. That's a rarity in itself.
Exciting players they've had over the years, always a bit temperamental perhaps, but usually very good footballers and very uncompromising defenders. Ironic cheers for the Venezuelans as they stitch together a neat little move. Finally ended by Craviotto, and quite a clearance that. Jimenez playing it forward. Gets it back from Marcano. But They can't really get together more than a couple of successive passes, it seems. Let's see if Rivas can do any better. He's got a very nice touch on the ball, this 19-year-old, and he proved it again and wins the free kick. It's a decent little player, Martin.
He does, yes. That's twice he's gone past players with apparent ease.
I suppose for some of these Venezuela players, it's a great stage, this, to prove they can, you know, do a bit and maybe get a move to a bigger club in a more important country. That wasn't a bad effort from that range.
Ambitious.
Lucasade Sport, one of the sponsors, helping us to bring the Copa America into your homes. Basualdo playing it forward. Nice little flick infield and to Simeone. But a throw to Venezuela, who have never qualified for the World Cup final. What a contrast to Argentina's fine record. Very much the newest and weakest of all the competing nations here. But they won a free kick. This match in Group A, remember, the top two teams going through to the semi-finals, and we've already seen what a good start Chile have made. So Argentina know that they've got to produce the goods today with the more difficult games still to come against Chile and Paraguay and Peru. This is their easy game on paper. Neat skill. Marcano trying to make the cross. Got it a bit wrong. And then Fernando giving it away. But they get it back.
Venezuela, a neat little footballing side. I don't think they've got any real punch. And I think eventually can Argentina break through.
Yeah, we saw that last night with Ecuador, that they played some neat football, but absolutely toothless in the opposition half. Fernandez in possession. And that wasn't a bad shot, but really the effort by Jaimes was never going to cause any problems for Goycochea. It was on target at least, but he dealt with it with contempt, really. Simeone, and that's a foul, surely. Batistuta getting his 9th cap tonight for Argentina. I suspect the home support will be mainly for Venezuela. The Chileans would love to see some kind of an upset here.
It's that type of evening that Argentina themselves have not only to get a goal, but have to create their own atmosphere in this game.
Let's see if Canija can do just that for them. Always willing to take players on, and he's gone down inside the box again. Jimenez again was the defender who caught him. And again, the referee didn't want to know.
Yeah, I think the referee was right this time. If you get a chance to see it again, I think Canija played for that one. But he is a very, very dangerous player. And I can see why Maradona wanted him so badly to play alongside in the last World Cup.
Yes, Maradona voted heavily for him, and sometimes against the previous coach, Bilardo. But when he did come in, he played some very effective games, Canija.
I've got to say, with the rest of the Argentinian side strung together, I don't see why there was any argument that Canija shouldn't have been in the side.
And you remember, he was suspended for the final. I'm sure that was one of the main reasons they didn't do quite so well. Basualdo attacking down the right here. And gets the throw. Not the Basualdo, incidentally, who played in the World Cup. It was Jose Basualdo. They're not related. Here's Latorre winning the corner. Almost midway through the first half, and we haven't had a goal yet. Argentina against Venezuela. And the shot by Basualdo. Well wide of target.
Despite the poor shot, Venezuela, they just allowed Argentina to take the corner kick. They've allowed them to play it short across the edge of the box, and they've allowed a shot and goal. And not one Venezuelan defender has actually moved out to encroach at all. And it's naive defending.
There's the score midway through the first period of this game, 0-0. Despite their naivety, they've kept that clean sheet so far, but by a thin thread. As Craviotto plays the ball forward. Latorre was looking, I think, for the free kick then, and didn't get it anyway. There's great optimistic roars from the supporters when Venezuela come forward. A bit of a late challenge on Basualdo, earns Argentina the free kick. Latorre looking for Franco, but the referee stops them in full flow. Free kick. Latorre has taken it quickly. Basualdo with the cross, headed away easily by Echanauzi. And no Venezuela player inside the Argentina half then when the ball was cleared. And it's a pretty dreadful situation for a team whenever they get it out of their own half. They haven't got anybody to hold the ball up and give them some breathing space, and the pressure just keeps coming and coming and coming, and eventually, unless you're a very good side, you can see the goal. And that looks already to be the pattern of this game. Franco, Panija, beautiful close control. The ball seems glued to his foot, but away comes Jimenez. Echanauzi. Basualdo a little bit slow to read the danger then. And, well, how often have we seen that, Martin? Whenever there is danger, these players just, they don't mind how they stop the man.
No, he did just a deliberate body check. He stepped in there, he realised that I think that Rivas was going to go past him, and just stepped in as well.
Well, he looks the boy Rivas to cause problems if anybody's going to Argentina today. 25 minutes gone, 0-0. Shot by Carvalho. And I suppose if you counted up the shots, then Venezuela have actually had more to this stage, but they've all been either gentle or well off target.
Well, they've got 3 shots now from about 35 yards, and there's no way, unless Goycochea takes a heart attack and goal, that they're going to actually get more. And I think now that they've got a stage in the game where it's still 0 each. Argentina have not caused them any phenomenal problems. I think it's time now that Venezuela might think of getting a few bodies in support of their attackers. Rivas looks as if he could cause a few problems. It's what he can do in terms of getting a bit of support there. At the minute, Argentina are very, very comfortable with looking exceptionally dangerous themselves. It's a night as well too for forward play.
Here's one of them, Latorre in possession. The little header. Canija was almost sneaking in behind the defenders then. It never quite reached him though. But then Astrada was beaten. Fernandez in possession. Gets it back to Carvalho. I'm not suggesting for one moment Northern Ireland in 82, Martin, wherever as big a gulf apart from opponents as Venezuela are from Argentina here. But as an underdog, how do you approach a game like this? Do you think, well, you know, we're just trying to hold out as long as we can?
No, for our part in the Northern Ireland situation, we felt that we had 1 or 2 players who could do a little bit if we could ever get the ball to them. But what we felt generally is that we took almost like a 20-minute period at a time. We'll go first 20 minutes. If we're still sitting there 0 each, then if a team's expected to beat us, there's a little bit of pressure creeps into the top of them. And if we're sitting there at half-time still at 0 each or 1 each or whatever it may be, then we felt that we definitely had a chance. And we seemed to have it off to a tee. We've got to a stage where we won games with opponents in sheer frustration, I think.
I wonder if that's the Venezuelan thinking tonight. Certainly they've held out for 27 minutes now. And if there is to be an avalanche of goals, we haven't seen a real indication of it as yet. Here's Latorre for Argentina. And certainly he looks the business. Basualdo helping it out to the right. Latorre has again come short to receive the ball. That'll be a free kick. Not too happy there, Simeone, and I don't blame him. Plays in Italy for Pisa, who were relegated at the end of last season, wearing Maradona's number 10 jersey. I wouldn't think there were too many people queuing up to have that number. First time for a long time Argentina have faced a major competition without Diego Maradona. I think Simeone himself may try the shot here. Chipped in again towards Ruggeri, in actual fact, and Caniggia, oh, he didn't need it, because sneaking in behind him was Batistuta, and he finished off in style. And in truth, any one of about 3 players could have finished that one off for Argentina. 28 minutes gone. Batistuta has given Argentina the lead. And it was a free kick, and the power in the air again of Ruggeri that helped to undo the Venezuelan defence.
I think that's what they tried to do with the first free kick. They've given it enough air this time. Ruggeri gets underneath it, superb ball across the box, and as you say, any one of 3 or 4 players could have stuck the ball in the net. Very, very poor marking by Venezuela, especially when they knew that that's exactly what they were going to do. Argentina were just going to throw it in there. Nice start. It takes a wee bit of pressure off Argentina. Now perhaps they can get starting to play a little bit. And that sort of confidence, that panache that the Argentinians of old certainly possess.
So Gabriel Batistuta, the 22-year-old from Boca Juniors, has given us the first goal of this game, with just a little over a quarter of an hour remaining in the first half. And here's Ruggeri, whose presence in the air, even if he didn't get the fine little flick down, was so important in unsettling the Venezuelan defence then. Astrada in possession. Franco. Latorre. Nice skill again from Craviotto. Oh dear. That was a no-nonsense challenge, I think they call it in polite circles, by Cavallo. Well, we know what to expect. Oh no, a variation as Latorre hits it short instead to Basualdo. Tried to line up the shot, pushed it wide instead, and the cross was a bit disappointing.
It was. The cross was disappointing, but the build-up was very nice. And now that they can start changing pattern, Venezuela were looking again to think that Argentina were just going to knock it in. Now that this change of pattern of play, the things that they can do, you're a goal in front, you can change it a little bit. You can do other things with the ball. You can play it short and let's get people going.
Adidas, our other major sponsor for this Copa América coverage, and every one of the games live, remember. Chinauzi has nowhere to go here. He needs some help badly, and he gets it from the referee's whistle. Well, bearing in mind this is likely to be quite a tight group with Chile and Paraguay both having started successfully, then Argentina will know full well the need to get goals here tonight. If goals are important in deciding the top 2 teams in the group, then with all due respect, Venezuela are the team to score them against. They've got 1 so far. Batistuta the scorer. Decent little return ball for Pacheco, and he wins the corner kick off Ruggeri. Rivas will take it. And a great cry as Argentina pushed out quickly. Now Caniggia have definitely got the ability to take them all on here if he fancies it. He wants the return ball, and it was played too far ahead of him. Well remembered from the World Cup, where he always has that desire to go at defenders, and he got some terrible tackles, didn't he, in Italy? He was the victim of some awful fouls.
He was just. That's the lovely thing about a player who's capable of winning a game on his own. We talk about really good defenders, we talk about excellent midfield players. The game's crying out for individual players, like the Maradonas. I'm not saying Tunisia's in the same class as Maradona, but he is capable of turning a game. And that's the nice thing. If you've got 2 or 3 players in your side capable of doing that, you can get away with the rest of them being ordinary, run-of-the-mill, hard-working footballers. All you need is a couple of world-class players in your side.
Well, he certainly looks that, and he's very exciting to watch. Vivas has switched from the left to the right now for Venezuela. James. Pacheco couldn't reach it. Now there's a gap left behind as he came forward, but he's got back to cover it. He's there again. James playing it through. Got a pretty sloppy ball, really.
I don't think Venezuela have any real belief in themselves that they can actually do it. I think that was evident from the very start. The 3 shots and goal from 35 yards out, instead of getting the ball down and maybe playing it wide again and trying to create an opening. And defensively, it looked as if it was just a matter of time. You can't say that Argentina put them under incredible pressure. It's just that Venezuela just looked a naive schoolboy side.
Yes,
has that been too hard?
No, I think it's absolutely right, because you get the feeling Argentina are still playing in about second gear, and if they move up again, I'm sure they can not exactly score at will here, but they look capable of a lot more goals in this game. Anyway, James with the free kick. That was handball, was it? No, the referee said play on, as the goal scorer Batistuta clears. And on it goes for Latorre in the centre. And now Canija. Always a buzz of excitement when he sets off. He overdoes it sometimes, inevitably, for that type of player, I suppose. 10 minutes to half-time. Argentina 1, Venezuela 0, and the first yellow card of the match has been waved at Astrada. Fernando. That was a pity, really, for Venezuela. They had a couple of players forward then. Argentina trying to play them offside, and the linesman didn't raise his flag. Dangerous for the moment. Now Simeone. Nice football. Pushing it around accurately. Little triangles. And then Craviotto with the through ball to Canija. Back it goes again to the number 14. And now on to Franco. Big and strong. And wins the throw-in. There's the player cautioned. Leonardo Astrada, he's only 21, his 5th cap tonight. And the ball took an age to go out, and has eventually gone out for a Venezuelan throw. Yantis, the player who earned it for them.
I've made some disparaging remarks about Venezuela, about their naivety, about their schoolboyishness. But while the game's still at 1-0, they've always got a chance of getting a goal.
They could be in some danger again here. Good goalkeeping. Basualdo on a good run there, and he had a teammate well placed in the middle, but Franciana came through decisively, and it was a good clean challenge. Always a danger in that situation that goalkeepers can concede penalties, but he was careful. And now a good run for Venezuela. And the ball reaches Maldonado. Well, he did quite well there, Maldonado. He didn't have a lot of support. Maldonado again. He's done well. Pacheco. We've got a player over on the far post. It's Yantis. And for a moment, Argentina under a bit of pressure. James. Pacheco. James again. Oh dear, that could have gone anywhere really on a slippery surface. And it's the first time we've seen Venezuela really just mount a little bit of pressure, really.
And you've said it, on that slippery surface, anything can happen. I was just trying to make that particular point, that Venezuela at 1-0 still have a chance of getting a goal. Anybody can score a goal. And I think Argentina would want to put this game out of their reach as quickly as possible. But they have not stepped out of second gear. They've knocked it around reasonably confidently, but they have not stepped out of second gear. There's no doubt about that.
Batistuta, the goal scorer, finds Simeone, who goes to the ground, but no free kick has been given. And still stretched, oh, has it? Yes, it has. And in fact, so has a yellow card been proffered to the captain, James. They're certainly piling up the bookings, Venezuela. 5, and some, according to some sources, 4, at least anyway, in the first game against Chile. And now the captain goes into the referee's book. And possibly worse still from their point of view, a free kick conceded. They've looked under pressure every time Argentina have had free kicks. There's Simeone. And it comes through to Batistuta again, and the referee really could have done them a favour by, well, I was going to say playing an advantage there, but he has in fact given offside anyway. I thought for a moment he pulled them back for a free kick with a tackle.
I did.
Ruggeri gets it away. And that was a foul. I think our referees are always prepared to give free kicks around the halfway line, but when it gets to the dangerous areas of the field, they have a longer look at it. And there's still an injury. Not quite certain who it is from here. Could be Caniggia, is it? I'm not certain, but how do you think the pattern of the game has gone then, Martin? 5 minutes to go to half-time, Argentina leading 1-0.
Well, we talk about attempts on goal, we talk about statistics. The only important statistic in the game is that Argentina are leading by a goal to 0. They'll not be displeased with the way they've played. They're just okay. They've done okay. They feel as if that if they can get another goal, that they maybe could get 3 or 4. It's possible. But at this stage, I think they'd be sitting rather uncomfortably in front. I mean, we've only seen about 2 minutes of Venezuela's attacking prowess. It's not been that strong, but you never know. They might be able to create something. Somebody gets a free kick in and around the box, conditions like this here, smashed into the corner of the net with 15 or 20 minutes to go to make a game 1 each. I think then you might see a different Argentina. But at the minute, there's been no real pressure put on them in the whole of the field. And Venezuela have come to be beaten, I think.
Basualdo plays it forward. Oh, the defender made a mistake then, he took a risk. Now what's the referee given here? He's given a free kick to Venezuela, in fact. Foul by Franco. We're nearing the end of the first half. I think we've seen Argentina, as Martin has been saying, playing within themselves so far. As Simeone goes forward and tries a shot, and that was rather closer to a goal than it should have been, perhaps, from that range. The goalkeeper possibly saw it coming a bit late.
I'm not so sure whether Fraschiani decided that he wanted to tip that ball over the bar, or that he thought that the bar would do it for itself.
He virtually flicked it onto the bar. He was a bit lucky there, Fraschiani. And Argentina have a corner. 3 minutes to go to half-time. They lead 1-0. Basualdo playing it back. And back further still. And still further, Vazquez, to the dismay of the crowd. Now, they actually had a corner then and ended up playing the ball via 3 players back to their own goalkeeper.
And I think perhaps to the disappointment of the coach Basile as well.
Yeah, I think he would have been looking for them to, at the very worst, keep it in the opposition half then. Here's Jaimez. Good interception by Basualdo. Now Simeone, who had that shot a few moments ago. Foul by Carvalho. Be interested to see the free kick statistics at half-time. They've given away an awful lot, Venezuela. Here's Craviotto. Canija with the through ball. Nice little layoff, but Franco couldn't reach it. Latorre. Basualdo. Plenty in the middle for the cross here if he delivers a good one, and he has. And Canija! Splendid goal! Right on the stroke of half-time, Argentina have extended their lead, and Canija, the scorer, unmarked, admittedly, but he dispatched it away with ease and a great little flourish. Good goal.
Yeah, excellent goal. Stuck it in well. He almost stooped down to head the ball into the net now, but completely unmarked. Venezuela, and that's 2 old-fashioned crosses that have come in. You know, we talked about the old British game, you know, where it was like a dying art, wasn't it? That they were flinging a few balls in and everybody were throwing all sorts of remarks that this was not the way to play football. Argentina have scored 2 goals from crosses that have been put in. One of them, admittedly, from a free kick. Yeah. But it's nice for them to get that second goal. I don't honestly think they've worked all that hard to have a 2-goal lead. But the way Venezuela are defending at the back, I think my daughter's side would stand a wee chance with them. They're playing next week.
Andrew, a good side, I've heard. 2-0 it is to Argentina, and you get the feeling in the second half these fans will have a few more goals to cheer here.
And again, a reply like that there, that's just a wallop of a ball. You know, there's nothing does my brain in more as a manager, where you think that you try and work to the edge of the penalty box, someone lays it back, and you have a big galloping centre half coming charging into it and knocking the ball out over the stadium.
Said with feeling. I hope Larry Lloyd's not listening. You didn't mean him, of course.
I meant exactly him.
Well, we're into time being added now. And Venezuela have conceded a free kick. We're 2-0 down. And we're either of us betting men, which of course we most certainly aren't. I think we would have a little wager on further goals to come in this game for the team in the famous blue and white stripes. And as yet, they haven't really had to pick up the pace.
Never any stage of the proceedings.
Here's Franco, who want to get in on the goal-scoring action. He's got a few goals for them in internationals this season. Number 8 in midfield, Craviotto, Ruggeri, Latorre. Nice football. Good flowing move this, Craviotto. Latorre is there in support again. It's a throw-in to Argentina. We've had a minute and a half added by the referee now, and there have been a couple of lengthy stoppages for injuries. Astrada, that's a good ball. Pulled down immediately by Basualdo. Looks dangerous going down that right-hand side. Now Latorre with the shot. And Fraschiana quite grateful to see that going over. Bit disappointed there, Latorre.
Yeah, he's got a big reputation, Latorre. I think he's going to Italy just after this competition's over.
Yes, the deal has been set up, we gather, with Fiorentina. And there, in fact, is the half-time whistle. So Argentina end a very satisfactory first half for them with a 2-goal lead. The goals coming from Batistuta and from Caniggia, and on the evidence of what we saw here in the first 45 minutes in Santiago, Argentina well on their way to a comfortable victory against the weakest team in the competition. Stay with us for more second half action. Argentina 2, Venezuela 0. Three leading the teams back onto the field in the National Stadium in Santiago. The half-time score here, Argentina 2, Venezuela 0. And we look around for any substitutions that either side may have made. Venezuela are more likely to, because they've got to do something, I suppose, to stop the flow of attacks on their goal. But really, what can they do? I think they would be dreading this match in many ways, because it looks on paper to be the most difficult game, having survived, I suppose you could call it, a 2-0 defeat by Chile in their opening match on Saturday. They got Paraguay on Wednesday the 10th, and then a couple of days later they played Peru. All of those matches here in Santiago. Argentina's fixtures from here on in are Chile, that's on Wednesday night, and then Paraguay on Friday, before they complete their Group A games with a match against Peru in Santiago on Sunday the 14th of July. I suppose the interest now, Martin, will come when we see Brazil in action tomorrow. We've seen Uruguay, we're seeing Argentina tonight, Brazil, they're the big three, of course. Which one of them is going to reveal their form?
Yeah, well, I think Argentina haven't shown us anything of the abilities that we know that they possess. They're strolling through this particular game. We're all excited about Brazil coming up against what I think are not a bad little side, Bolivia. I've taken them to my heart. I hope they get through in their group. They showed an awful lot of promise against Uruguay. Perhaps could have won the game, but Uruguay came back very, very strong in the second half. But I suppose if we say it, that we'd like to see Brazil, I suppose, exude all the qualities that the great Brazilian sides have had in the past. I just think they're going through one of those, I suppose, euphemistically say, transitional periods when we talk about they've not just had it together for the last 8-10 years, and perhaps they're looking for some great players to pull themselves round again.
Interesting that Argentina and Brazil have met in 2 friendlies in the build-up to the Copa América, and they drew both matches 1-1 and 3-3. Here's a look at the table as it stands currently, of course, before tonight's match is taken into account. Chile with maximum points and +4 goal difference, and we mentioned how important goal difference is. Argentina will be looking to make sure they get as many goals as possible in the second half here tonight. Argentina taking a long time to come back out, but they're ready now for the start of the second half. Argentina have won 71 of their 116 games in the competition. That's a record, and so is the number of goals they scored, not counting tonight because the match isn't over yet, of course. 272 before the kick-off, and that underlines why they, Uruguay and Brazil, have been the most powerful teams in the history of this, the oldest international football competition in the world. So Venezuela in red and white, remember, getting the second half underway, and wondering, I suppose, what fate holds in store for them. And they hold on at 2-0. I'm sure they would see that as a moral victory if they could, having been thrashed, let me remind you, 11-0 the last time these teams met in the competition. Can't see any sign of any substitutions by either side. And Argentina start building again. Diego Simeone. Vazquez has had a pretty quiet night at the back, as indeed of all the Argentine defenders. And there's the big man, Franco, in midfield. Important little header down for the first goal. Basualdo's galloped down this right flank to great effect. And the first goal scorer, Batistuta. And now it comes to Latorre. Well, he's done well here and just took a fraction too long perhaps to deliver the cross, allowing Jimenez to deflect it behind for the first corner of the second half. Yes, they're about to make a substitution. I can't work out why they didn't make it during the half-time interval as the corner comes in again. And all kinds of problems, as you were saying in the first half, Martin, corners and free kicks, really, Venezuela panic.
Yes, they've been never near it. Every single time it's been taught, even if the corner's a poor corner, in that particular instance, I thought it wasn't all that clever. But they've still got themselves into all sorts of tangles and have had great difficulty in clearing it.
Free kick anyway to Venezuela, and they haven't even got that one clear. They have now. Vazquez with the clearance, and that's a throw to Venezuela. Pignanelli, their Uruguayan coach, has decided to make this substitution. I can't work that one out. They've just come off from the dressing room, so why didn't he make the substitution then? Anyway, Fernandez has gone off, and Gallardo, who actually began the first game, has taken his place. I think I said at the start the team was totally unchanged. It wasn't, because Gallardo didn't start tonight, as he did against Chile. He's on now, and straight into the action. But quickly, Franco wins it back, and Argentina look to make progress down the left and get a free kick. Confirmation of the substitution. Fernandez off, Gallardo on. The rain falling very heavily again here now in Santiago. Simeone. Neat little layoff, and gets it back again. Just got to be careful not to get offside here. Basualdo. Oh yes. Oh no. Had it gone straight to Simeone, it would have been lovely, but dropped straight to the opponent. Not quite so clever. And that was a clumsy tackle by Astrada on Echanalzi. Very heavy rain now. Winter time, really, of course, on the South American continent, so it's not that much of a shock, I guess, to see conditions hardly ideal, as Canija gets a size 10 set of studs on the back of his head. Pretty painful, I would think. Meccano tries to pretend that he didn't really mean it, and he's really very sorry. And Canija, who knows all about rough treatment, playing in Italy for Atalanta, has a headache. And this is why. Round the first challenge, and then
He decided they thought the ball was closer to Canigia's head than
not terribly sporting. Simeone with the cross, it looks dangerous, and Ruggeri's up there, and so is Batistuta. And now Simeone again, and a claim for handball, and it's been given. Well, would you believe it? They had two penalty claims turned down in the first half, certainly one of which I thought should have resulted in a penalty, and now they've got one from a more innocuous situation. The ball with Simeone.
First look at it before we actually see it coming up here, I thought it was a handball. I thought he's played across it, or he's a wee bit unlucky in the fact that he's very close to the ball. But yeah, definite handball.
Yeah, and you can usually tell the reaction. Simeone was closest to him. He wouldn't have bothered to appeal there, I'm sure, if he hadn't have known. And the referee saw it, and so Batistuta, whose name one of these days I'll get absolutely right, has the opportunity to score his second goal of the game. The referee's making it worse for him. He's really taking his time about allowing him to take the kick. making sure the goalkeeper's in the right position. And Batistuta can make it 3-0 here to Argentina, and has done. How many times do we say goalkeepers would only stay still? They probably have more chance of saving penalties. They instinctively dive. And I don't know what the statistics are, but about 80% of the time the ball seems to go dead centre of the goal.
See it again. You're absolutely right now. Stands up, hits him in the bottom of the ankles.
Good view from behind the goal here. Actually, it was in the corner a bit more when you see it from that angle. Anyway, it matters not how they go in, only that they do. And Argentina lead by 3-0. That goal coming 7 minutes into the second half. Well, it's just what they needed, really, Martin, isn't it? That goal early in the second half, following the one late in the first, to let them settle and knock it about, and show us a few tricks now.
Yeah, I think after the second goal they were doing that, but they're very, very comfortable now. There's not a problem. Venezuela have posed no threat whatsoever in the game. I don't think they've had one real proper shot at goal, and it's just an absolute stroll for them. If Argentina could have chosen an easier game, well, I'll tell you what, maybe they've drawn lots for it. But Venezuela, who showed a little bit of fight and a wee bit of character in the first game against Chile, have shown absolutely nothing in this match.
And here's Basualdo again, and that's a useful looking little ball. They've got the goalkeeper in 2 minds. Batistuta, who's on a hat-trick now, of course, almost onto the loose ball.
I think you know that your number's up when you've got a goalkeeper coming to punch the ball from chest high. That's what
it's a bit unorthodox, I think you'd say. Carvalho leaving it to the captain, James. And Venezuela know that they're battling against the tide now. Ooh, that wasn't a bad effort, though. And Goycochea finally brought into the action, and it's our man again from the first half, Rivas, who I think if he was in a blue and white shirt, you would say he looked quite a player.
I think he's an outstanding prospect. He's been the one spark of life in the Venezuelan side. And he's decided now that he's not getting any joy out in the wing simply because they're not getting the ball out to him. He's decided to do a bit of marauding himself.
Well, he might do himself a favour here. Good performances in this competition will bring him to the attention of a lot of willing would-be buyers, I'm sure. Lucas Sport, one of our major sponsors for this competition. And Argentina, one of the big favourites to go all the way to the final. As we've been saying, it's a tough schedule for the eventual finalists. 7 games in 15 days for the teams who make it all the way. Very, very hard. And so Argentina could be forgiven for playing it at 3/4 pace. But equally, they will know that it's very important they get goals here, with Chile having knocked in 4 earlier in the group. Goal difference could be important. I don't know what the other teams are going to do against Venezuela. Only the fact that Chile, of course, have already played them. So I think they'll be looking to keep improving this goals tally. Goycochea's had a quiet night. He's going out for a little dribble now, is he? No, he thought better of it. Leave that that other well-known goalkeeper from Colombia. That's a nice ball, Simeone. There's a foul, surely. No, the referee said play on. Good skill from Simeone. And on it goes to Franco, and back out again to Latorre, who fell over at the worst moment.
You mentioned earlier about the grueling number of games that the winners will have to play. I think it's 7 over a 15-day period. I think it's nice to know that there is such a thing as an easy game. They've had an easy game tonight. The one thing that some of the star players will now be looking to do is to just stay out of trouble. Obviously would like to add to their goal tally, like Tunisia. Certainly Batistuta would love to see the hat-trick go in. But at the minute, I think the more important is they just stay out of trouble, don't get injured in the match, and just stroll through the remainder of it. And if they can add to it, an extra goal or something like that, they're well and good. But I've got to say, Al, they've never struck me as a side from the very beginning that looked all that bothered, in the sense that I think they always thought they were going to get a goal at some stage. But it's not as if they say that they put intense pressure on Venezuela. It's just that Venezuela have crumbled at any sign they're off pressure at all.
They seem to be enjoying it now, the Argentina, enjoying the space and the freedom they're getting, and everybody wants a little touch on the ball, and defenders are getting forward, and it's that lovely platform of a 3-0 lead, and they all want to do a little bit now, show us a trick or two. I think we'll be in for a bit of entertainment here in the remainder of this game. Franco. That's a pretty ruthless challenge from Marcano, the 33-year-old. Yellow card against Chile in the opening game. Fortunate maybe to escape a similar punishment then. And Gabriel Batistuta. If I had 100 attempts to say that correctly, I don't think I would get it right more than about once. Batman, I think I'll call him. That's his nickname. It's a lot easier to say. Too many T's. Batistuta.
As Phil was saying at half-time, they talk about bat goals that he scored.
Yeah, and he's batted 2 in already, and Castellano knows all about it. There's only one outcome to that. Now, Caniggia's complaining here. They all charge forward looking for a fairly blatant and obvious offside. Caniggia had a word with the referee about something, and I'm not totally certain what he's done here. He seems to have waved the yellow card at Caniggia, however, given the free kick to Argentina. That's mystified me, that.
Well, he's waved the yellow card twice. Certainly Caniggia's got one of them. I'll accept the fact that the Venezuelan defenders had the other one, because it looks a free kick for Argentina. So would we accept the fact that there was a little bit of pushing and shoving and Caniggia said a few words to him?
That would appear to be a reasonable interpretation, and Batistuta maybe is lining up the shot here, because this is a scoreable position. There he is, 2 goals already. I suppose it'll be a bat trick if he gets this one in.
It's pathetic.
It was. Good save.
Good shot.
Yeah, he did well there, the keeper, because they're not easy to see coming through all those bodies and legs. Venezuela have survived again for the moment, though. And they're going to have a little attack of their own with Rivas. He's got as much confidence on the ball as Caniggia at the other end, and he's won a free kick. And they have to underline the fact that every time he's been in possession, this 19-year-old, he has done well. He's been bold and taken defenders on and caused problems. Quarter of an hour gone in the second half. It's 3-0 to Argentina here in Santiago in this Group A game in the Copa América. Venezuela have a free kick. Rivas lofting it in high, and it was Franco who got it away. Jimenez winning the throw. Nice little layoff from Latorre, although it wasn't really anticipated by his teammate. And we're seeing the free kick again.
Excellent shot by Batistuta. Fraschiano has done very, very well to hold on to, as you said earlier. Couldn't have seen it too well. But Batistuta lining it up and taking it with all the confidence of a man who scored 2 goals.
Yes, I think he will not be satisfied if he doesn't complete that hat-trick tonight, he's going to volunteer for everything now, I think. Basualdo's had a good game. 7th cap for him tonight. Plays for the champion club of this season in Argentina, River Plate. One of the most famous of all the Argentine clubs, of course. And, well, I suppose on the one hand, you would say that the man who's played directly against him, Rivas, has been pretty dangerous. Look at that rain. But Basualdo has looked very good attacking anyway, not necessarily defending. Foul on Simeone by any one of 3 players. Simeone a bit reluctant to continue here as it's played back to Ruggeri, who must have had one of his quietest of the 60-odd internationals that he's played in. Veteran of 2 World Cups as well. So much rain now on the running track surrounding the pitch. It looks like a mirror when the ball bounces off. Spectacular clearance. But it's another throw. Lovely close control here, and he's kept it in, Basualdo. That's good football. Now Simeone has lost out, and Martínez brings the ball clear. Suddenly a great big gap appears down the centre of Argentina's defence. They'd all gone AWOL on the attack, I think. Cleared by Astrada. Rivas loses out this time to his opposite number, Latorre, Astrada, and now Simeone.
I've just never seen so many Venezuelan attacks peter out before anything of significance happened. Again, Jaime's might as well have had a shot in the place when the gap opened up for him in the first place. He overran it slightly. It's gone out to his old mate there, and he's had a shot again. It's his 3rd shot from 40 yards.
Well, even Pele didn't get that many in from that distance, I don't think. You've got to be some player to score from there. And here's a guy who is some player, Canija, getting it back again neatly from Franco and playing a good-looking ball through. The goalkeeper's committed to himself. Batistuta turning it in, and it's hit the crossbar, and the goalkeeper was there to scoop it off the line. Incredible incident, really, that. Some lovely skills involved there for Argentina, but no luck involved.
Absolutely. You know, though, it was the goalkeeper's ball in the first place. It's an absolutely exquisite cross the way back again, and just unlucky. Goalkeeper coming back to find whether the ball's in the net or not. You know, he's realised it's still standing around there, so he might as well come and grab it. It was an exquisite cross.
Well, a beautifully flighted cross for Canigi to head it against the crossbar, and so unlucky then Argentina not to extend their lead to 4. 20 minutes gone in the second half. As it is, Argentina are really just jogging along to the expected 2 points. The only real question, I think, remains how many goals they'll score to achieve those points. Huge gaps. Venezuela are tiring as well, and their defending's getting worse.
But let them fit it. What's disappointed me about Venezuela is that, okay, they're not as good as footballers as the Argentinians, but they've made no attempt to try and get the ball. And that incident there just about sums them up. Giving the ball away in areas where it's desperately dangerous for themselves, and making no real attempt to get it back. Just slugging it out here at the minute.
And then when they do get it back, they concede a free kick in the process. Latorre. Forward by Craviotto, and that's not a free kick this time, as Craviotto goes diving in again. He has conceded the free kick. I think that was his own anxiety to try and atone for his own error. Adidas, one of our two major sponsors, bringing you the Copa América from the South American continent, and a competition that is already providing us with a lot of goals. 3 tonight to Argentina against Venezuela. 23 minutes of the match remaining. Latorre just holding off one defender, couldn't get round the second. Jimenez picked the ball up, believing he'd heard a whistle. He was right, but the free kick is not the way he expected. I'd like to have seen Latorre involved a little bit more. He certainly has good close control and skill, but he's got a bit deep and kept out of the thick of things in the main.
I think he's saving himself.
Here's Basualdo, who certainly hasn't saved himself. Really enjoyed himself, eagerly attacking, and so is this man, Canija. No free kick this time. Cavallo biding his time before finding Echanauzi.
Brian Clough, the old boss at Nottingham Forest, once had a phrase, and you may have heard it before, it's called dipping your bread. What he meant by that was there are certain games in league football that when you've got on top of a side, you can go, well, he was talking from a goal-scoring viewpoint, and go that you can improve your goal-scoring record by 2 or 3 goals in the one particular game. In other words, when you're looking at centre-forwards scoring 20 goals a season, what you want to see is them scoring one goal per match, and generally speaking, in winning games. I'll break off here for a second.
Yes, as Venezuela look menacing for one of the few times in the game, and indeed win the corner.
But she rushes out to take the corner, I'll tell you. And what he was trying to say was this, that there are games, as I say, that you can score 3 and 4 goals in a particular match, and you've improved your own goal-scoring record for an individual player.
And that's certainly what Argentina have tried to do tonight.
Certainly the sort of thing that Batistuta would be looking to do now, with 20 minutes to go in the match. Complete his hat-trick and maybe go and get 4 goals in the match.
The crowd are enjoying, with some irony, this period of sustained attacking by Venezuela, knocking it around quite neatly now. But too little too late on their part. And Argentina have gone to sleep, really, a little bit. They've just decided that the game is won, I think, and that they've done enough already. But there's quite a period to go. What, 20 minutes? Over 20 minutes yet. And I wouldn't want a dent in the goals against column in this match, I would think. Venezuelan free kick. Oh, and it almost caught Goycochea by surprise. He'd come forward expecting it floated in, I think. And whether that was an optimistic shot, I'm not quite certain. The ball was just tapped up for him then. I wasn't trying a cross here or a shot anyway.
No, I think he was definitely trying a shot.
It was a good effort then, and Goycochea pushed it behind, having seen it very late. And right behind that one. Well, they almost did have a dent in the goals against column. That's good defending by Macano. Oops, and a little back heeler as well. Jimenez. And the Ole as they come forward again here with James. And again the space opens up for him. And a slippery ball. Not easy to do with, but Goycochea had plenty of time to see that. Well, Venezuela just about had their best spell of the game here.
And a few times Argentina have actually opened themselves up for the Venezuelan attacks. And I think against better opposition, it would be suicidal to do exactly that. They've allowed Venezuela to pick the ball up and come at them. Instead of one player going to close it down, close the danger down, they've allowed him to come into an area where he can have a shot at goal. And if there'd been any power in any direction, then perhaps Goycochea might have been tested.
Latorre has Canija in a lovely position. Oh, he just slipped. That was unfortunate, that. Latorre saw him and just prodded the ball through into the space ahead of him, and he slipped on the wet turf at the vital moment. Otherwise, Canija would have been through. And a goal would surely have resulted as Pacheco plays it down the line. And even the defenders trying the little back heelers and the flicks now. Inez. There's no doubt that Argentina have lost a bit of concentration here. And there could be a goal for Echenauzi. Good defending in the end. Goycochea snapped out to meet him.
There are going to be periods in any game that that a side so completely outplayed that Venezuela have been will come into it. It's what they can do in those little periods of pressure that they have. And while it looks pretty, they haven't actually not done anything.
No, it's all been a little bit in front of Argentina's defence rather than getting at them. Here's Basualdo.
The old phrase, the old saying about the Scottish phrase, I think it is, of Tanner ball player. I think they could sum up half a dozen Venezuelan players in that sense.
Latorre's cross too close to the keeper. Fabian. Yantis out there on the right. I haven't seen too much of him, but I suppose you could say that quite a few of his teammates. Crowd, I think, are getting a bit frustrated now. They either wanted to see the biggest shock of all time with Venezuela beating Argentina, or Argentina getting a back full of goals. So I think this little period of the game is beginning to annoy them. They want to see more goals from Argentina now. 17 minutes to go. 3-0 they lead.
I think we would like to see some action.
Yeah, I think the game really needs another goal to lift it again. Another substitution now by Venezuela. Maldonado's coming off. We can see that on the number 10 card.
If there's nothing happening here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, Alan, I'm going to invent it.
I thought you always did. Right, who's this coming on? It looks like Carlos Castro, who I think was also used as a substitute against Chile in their opening game. So although things have not exactly gone well for Venezuela, they've stuck by the same group of 13 players. Yes, weaving his way through very neatly indeed. And the substitute Castro gets his first touch, and I think that went behind for the corner. At the worst, a throw. Corner it is. Rivas will take it. And he can try again with the cross. Well, even he's running out of steam now, and he has quite substantially been their best player. Here he goes again. That was a good tackle. And Argentina get it clear to Canija. Not quite though. Marcano got that ahead of him. That's good skill. The crowd are loving it here, seeing Venezuela knocking together a few passes. Offside, isn't it? It all happened in slow motion. Quarter of an hour remaining. Argentina 3, Venezuela 0. And an understandably glum-faced Pignanelli, the Venezuelan coach. But if there is such a thing as the freedom of Venezuela, I'm sure he would have got it if he could have produced any result at all here. When the team with the most impressive record in the history of the competition meets the team with the most appalling record, there can only really be one outcome. Good play from Simeone, still going as well, and finally loses out. And now Jaime in midfield, playing it forward. And they've got a couple of men over here as Argentina backpedal. And Castro, the substitute, had it whipped off his toe inside the penalty area. Now Latorre. Well, Chile having scored 4 goals earlier today. I'm sure Argentina would like to at least equal that feat. Still 3. But they haven't conceded any, of course. Franco playing it back to Ruggeri. And the crowd don't like that because he's knocked it all the way back.
It must be difficult for the Argentinian players to keep concentrating in the game. I mean, they've won it so easily. It's almost unbelievable. And Venezuela, as I said, pose no threat whatsoever. They're just, the lads are strolling around here feeling, well, just it's a matter of whether the whistle blows or the rain stops.
Well, they probably had harder training matches. Looks though there's going to be an Argentine substitution.
And then in a performance like this, Alan, it's very hard to say how good they actually are. I was trying to actually compare them to that performance at Wembley. And they showed a lot of desire from 2-0 behind against England to get back into the game. Well, that sort of desire has not been shown tonight because it's not been needed.
They haven't actually lost a match since the World Cup final, exactly 1 year ago. They've won 5, drawn 2 of their 7 games, and both the drawn games were against Brazil as well. So they're on a bit of a roll here. And they're on their way to another win tonight. Simeone with a free kick, and free kicks have produced all kinds of danger for this man so far. They're queuing up for the ball, but they were all in an offside position when it was played in. And Argentina may now want to make the substitution. Rodriguez was the player waiting to come on, but he's still waiting as far as I can see. Just under 12 minutes remaining. Argentina 3, Venezuela 0. And suddenly they've got 3 players forward here. The Venezuelans, one of them Carvalho. Well, it was a pretty harmless effort when it came. Simeone. Free kick. Foul by Gallardo. He's had quite a good game, actually, Martin. He's looked the part in midfield without any really tight marking, admittedly.
Yeah, I still think that Rivas has been an outstanding player for them, not just in the little things that he's been able to do on the ball, but he's tried to orchestrate whatever's happening for them. He was also the instigator of that particular move that's once again fell short of anything. But he's a nice little footballer. Perhaps he might have think to himself if he'd been born in some other part of the border. Who knows?
Latorre has gone off. Rodriguez, the San Lorenzo forward, has come on in his place. Reminds you, in appearance anyway, of the old days of the man you were talking about earlier. Remember, Kempes always had that long, flowing black hair down to his shoulders in that great Argentine team of 78. There's Simeone with the cross. Free header for the defenders this time. Again, Venezuela coming forward, but Basualdo worked hard to get that one back. Ten minutes to go now. It's Argentina 3, Venezuela 0. And I wonder if Argentina are going to sign off here in Santiago tonight with a flourish. They've been comfortably 3 goals better. Well, Basile, the coach, will no doubt mark this about 6 out of 10. They've done as much as he would have expected them to do against weak opposition. The bigger fish still to come. And as Martin O'Neill was saying, you can't really judge how well Argentina are likely to do in those big games on the evidence of what we've seen tonight. We're talking here about a nation which has been in 3 of the last 4 World Cup finals. Very much a big occasion team. Venezuela enjoying this newfound bit of freedom late on here. Rivas, another good run by him. He's been tempted to take a little tumble then, but has kept going. Cavallo playing it back, Inez playing it in, and inevitably it ends up in Goycochea's hands. Or perhaps if they had just one more player with the promise of Rivas, could have been a slightly different story, but not significantly.
We've seen 3 goals tonight, Alan. We've seen Argentina, who played in the World Cup final. Everything was geared up to watching something pretty decent, and it's been the least inspiring of all the games in the competition. And I'm not saying it's Argentina's fault. They've done exactly what they set out to do. They scored a goal more than Chile did against Venezuela. So in that aspect, they've achieved everything. But it's just been a second-gear performance by Argentina.
And Simeone denied the opportunity to move into third gear then, as it was whipped away from him. Ruggeri wins it back at the other end, though. Pacheco for Venezuela. Venezuela unlikely to improve on their dismal record in this competition of just 1 win in 24 ties, 25 if you include tonight, and I think we can safely include tonight. Pacheco down the line. Infield to Rivas. And as I was saying earlier, he's beginning to tire as well. Good play by Rodriguez, the substitute. Oh dear, that's a nasty foul. And that could be a booking, really. Yantis bringing down the substitute quite blatantly and quite deservedly shown the yellow card. And Rodriguez must have been really itching to get into this game. I think if you're a substitute, perfect position to come on. 3-0 up, 10 minutes left. Have a little run at them. Yep. And he did there. He survived the first attempt to bring him crashing, but not that one. Takes the free kick himself. And Ruggeri up there again, winning it again. Basualdo couldn't get the cross in. Ruggeri has to, not exactly race, he's ambling back. 6 minutes to go here. And Goycochea hardly bothered to even raise an arm for that one. Knew exactly where it was going.
So there were 6 minutes to go. I honestly believe if Argentina walked off now, Venezuela still wouldn't score in that 6 minutes.
Well, I don't know. I think I fancy Rivas to stick one into an empty net if they could get the ball to him.
That might cause a problem.
A reminder of Argentina's lead here. 3 clear goals. And the fan enjoying themselves, amusing themselves, knowing that this game is really just ticking towards its conclusion. 5 minutes to go. Argentina 3, Venezuela 0. And with the exception of Venezuela, I'm sure everyone hoping that Argentina rather can just sign off with another goal for us. But I think, in all honesty, they haven't bothered to play really for the last 15 minutes.
I think they are doing exactly what I thought they might do, just staying out of trouble, keeping themselves physically right for the next game.
Which is against Chile, I remind you, in this very stadium on Wednesday night.
That should be really worthwhile, because Chile are playing exceptionally well at the moment.
Yes, that's going to be one of the games of this group, I'm sure. And Here's our man Rivas again. And the whistle had gone. Offside, I think. I think they'll all be grateful for the sanctuary of the dressing room. They look thoroughly soaked, all the players. The rain continues to fall heavily here. And poor old Venezuela, who don't even get to play in many international matches. They had an incredible period of maybe something like 2 years, unbelievably, between international games before this competition started. Imagine waiting 2 years, going out, getting thoroughly soaked and thoroughly thrashed.
And then having to wait another 2 years to do exactly the same again.
Quite possible. Rodriguez finding Astrada. Just like to see a little bit of magic here now to finish off with. Very satisfactory performance by Argentina, but the case not yet proven as far as assessing their likelihood of going on to win the final itself. Rodriguez in possession. Astrada. Basualdo. Well, that was hardly worthy of the name shot. It was so far off target, it threatened the advertising hoarding more than Fabian in the Venezuelan goal. Two minutes on the watch now. And I think the only conclusion that we can reach tonight is that Venezuela will not be progressing in this competition. And that Argentina against Chile is going to be a tasty fixture. As Jaimes lifts it forward. Castro getting it down. And now Echanalzi. Ruggeri with the headed clearance. Rodriguez arrives to intercept. And even he's got the disease of passing it back, which seems to have afflicted Argentina in the last quarter of an hour. Mighty throw from Goycochea out to Simeone. Lovely skill from him. And the layoff by Canija to Rodriguez, the substitute. Back quite well, but Fabian are always behind the line of flight. Now Pacheco. A minute of normal time remaining here. And to call this a comfortable win would not really be telling the full story. Argentina have strolled it. Rivas has had a very good game. Ran straight into Basualdo. The home crowd, of course, wanted a penalty then. I think what the home crowd don't fancy is seeing Argentina in meaner mood against their own favourites, Chile. Chile with home advantage for the first time in, 30-odd years. Carrying the hopes of the nation with them. And they'll know that that game against Argentina is just about the critical match of the group, most likely. So we're now into time being added for stoppages here in Santiago, with Argentina leading Venezuela by 3-0. And Batistuta, having scored 2 of them, may not get his chance to complete the hat-trick. That's a good little ball, though. And that's a pretty silly tackle, really. So maybe Batistuta will still get his chance to complete his hat-trick, because this is a dangerous position for the free kick. Rodriguez, the substitute, will take it. Can Argentina get their 4th goal in injury time? Pull back, rather surprisingly, towards Basualdo, who hit it straight into the wall of defenders. And with their superiority in the air, I'm surprised that they didn't choose to loft it up then, Argentina.
They're just going through the motions, and I agree with you. I'm surprised they didn't toss it in there, give themselves a chance. They've knocked one back again, and Basualdo did absolutely nothing with it. It ended up back at Goycochea.
There's the final whistle, and Argentina have kicked off their 1991 Copa America campaign with a very easy 3-0 victory against Venezuela. Batistuta with 2 goals, Canija with 1. The caption from our South American colleagues not quite right there, but nonetheless the final score is right. Argentina have beaten Venezuela by 3-0, off to a winning start here in Santiago.
Final score then, Argentina kicking off their Copa America quest for glory with a 3-0 win here over Venezuela. Playing well within themselves, Martin. Really little more than a practice match for Alfio Basile's men.
Absolutely strolled it. No problems at all. Venezuela very, very weak indeed. We don't know exactly what Argentina can do yet.
Well, they'll be keeping their powder dry for later on in the week, without a doubt. Those the match statistics for you. The result, little in doubt really, once Argentina went ahead with that first goal from Batistuta, followed up with a second just before the break via the head of Canija, and then Batistuta on the mark once again, 6 minutes into the second half from the penalty spot.
Notice, Phil, there's very few offsides in the game, and that's been a feature of the matches so far, and that's been very, very encouraging indeed. That's one of the nicest things about the competition so far.
It certainly has a point well worth picking up on, and also to date, long may it continue, no real cynicism or professional fouling to slow the game up. But Argentina held the whip hand throughout. That was the first goal.